It was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what.
In a moment that none could have predicted, in the midst of the tournament, Sophie Cunningham revealed an incredible surprise that stunned both spectators and her teammate Caitlin Clark. Caitlin's name appeared on an incredible $25 million Nike deal. As cameras captured Caitlin's real emotional reaction in real time, the entire arena went silent. The moment was filled with tears of joy, total amazement, and pure shock. It wasn't just another endorsement agreement. It was a significant turning point in my career and a strong indication that women's basketball was at last getting the credit it so richly deserved. How, though, did Sophie make it happen? What might this signify for Caitlin's future? Just wait until you see the remarkable response. Nobody could have predicted the moment. Everything started out as a typical day. Before the team took to the floor, Caitlin Clark thought she was entering a typical strategy meeting, just another brainstorming session in a quiet conference room. She anticipated discussing numerous marketing suggestions, reviewing some updates on sponsorship prospects she had been chasing since before draft night, and then carrying on with practice. However, as soon as she walked inside the room, she sensed that something was off. There was a powerful energy in the air that was nearly impossible to ignore. Sophie Cunningham, a seasoned WNBA veteran known for her unwavering resolve and composed confidence under duress, was seated at the conference table. Caitlin had always admired Sophie, a player who struck a balance between fiery rivalry with genuine, musical compassion. However, she was clearly excited today instead of being calm as normal. She clutched a sophisticated folder close to her chest, as if it held something too significant to put down. She strained to contain the enormous smile that was developing across her face as her eyes glowed brightly. After giving her a curious glance, Caitlin asked, "What's going on?" Her heart was pounding more quickly every second, yet she asked calmly, "What's happening?" Sophie took a while to respond. Rather, she got up slowly, approached Caitlin, and gave her the folder. "Go ahead," she murmured in a quiet, passionate voice. "Open it." This is Caitlin opened the folder cautiously, her hands trembling a little. Everything appeared to vanish as soon as she laid eyes on the papers inside. Beneath the iconic Nike swoosh, printed in huge letters across the page, was something she never thought she would see. A $25 million contract to endorse Nike under her own name. Caitlin was unable to move or even speak for a number of extended periods of time. As if everyone had stopped breathing with her, the entire room fell silent. Her heart pounded so loudly that it could be heard in her ears. This was the once-in-a-lifetime chance she had long dreamed of, the kind of success she thought may take years, if it happened at all. Her eyes began to well up with tears as reality finally sank in. This indelible point was the result of every lonely practice session, every criticism she had disregarded, and every time she wondered if her goals were just too lofty. The fact that the surprise hadn't come from a business executive or marketing person made it much more amazing. Music. It came from Sophie, a reputable mentor and close friend who had discreetly worked behind the scenes for weeks, communicating with Nike's leadership and ensuring that Caitlin's extraordinary talent was given the credit it so well deserved. Caitlin raised her head, overcome with emotion, and met Sophie's radiant smile with her own. In that moment that will never be forgotten, she understood that she wasn't just honoring the start of a historic collaboration with Nike. She was also witnessing an amazing demonstration of friendship, commitment, and unshakable faith from someone who sincerely wished for her success. Sophie's generosity, thoughtfulness, and careful preparation of such a memorable surprise for Caitlin left many in awe. So, was this a wise investment for the future or a sincere expression of support? Let's examine Sophie Cunningham's incredible ascent in more detail. Sophie spent years establishing herself in the WNBA via commitment and unwavering work, going from a resolute veteran to an unexpected force behind a historic moment. Acknowledged for her forthright and competitive attitude style of play, she never used attention-grabbing headlines or viral highlights to establish her profile. Sophie earned every chance after being selected by the Phoenix Mercury by accepting the most difficult assignments, making clutch three-pointers, playing tenacious defense, and projecting an honest, modest demeanor that fans truly admired. Sophie's endorsement career remained far more modest than that of a number of famous athletes who were the focus of enormous advertising campaigns. She passionately backed women-focused sports brands and collaborated with local companies. These collaborations mirrored her personal ideals, but did not result in large salaries. She was praised around the league for her leadership in professionalism and constancy. She wasn't, however, the player that big businesses hurried to reward with multi-million-dollar contracts. Nevertheless, Sophie never let annoyance get the better of her. She maintained her composure and concentration. She recognized that a significant endorsement signified far more than just financial gain. It signified increased awareness, significant advancement, and another move in the direction of altering the discourse surrounding women's basketball. Then Caitlin Clark showed up, and wherever she performed, she instantly attracted attention. It was evident that something exceptional was happening thanks to packed arenas, sold-out audiences, and national headlines. Caitlin was more than just another talented athlete. She was now a cultural sensation. In ways the WNBA had not seen in years, her captivating style, self-assurance, and innate charisma drew fans. Sophie saw an amazing opportunity when Nike reached out to her about stepping up its support for women's basketball, but not just for herself. Sophie made the brave and incredibly selfless decision to shift the focus to Caitlin Clark. Instead than highlighting her own achievements, she fervently supported Caitlin. In order to illustrate Caitlin's impact both on and off the court, she gave compelling tales, striking statistics, and unforgettable moments. She persuaded Nike that Caitlin stood for far more than a superb basketball player. She had the capacity to represent a new generation. Sophie was fully aware of the huge risk involved. The majority of athletes would have seized the chance to safeguard their own futures first. However, Sophie Cunningham wasn't only considering herself. She genuinely thought that assisting Caitlin Clark in obtaining a historic endorsement could open up new possibilities for all female athletes. And in ways she could never have predicted, that belief paid off. Nike paid close attention. They did more than just accept the concept. They accepted it wholeheartedly. A remarkable $25 million endorsement deal was soon reached, and the sports world marveled at Caitlin Clark's transformation into the new face of Nike women's basketball. One of the most powerful expressions modern sports has seen in years was Sophie's silent act of support. It demonstrated that true leaders don't ascend by themselves. They assist others in rising alongside them. Sophie's influence was evident throughout the entire process, even if her signature wasn't on the contract. Because genuine legacy is determined by more than just your own accomplishments. Occasionally, it's determined by the chances you make for other people. But why did Sophie pick Caitlin over everyone else? Why was she the ideal candidate for such a remarkable opportunity? Let's first examine Caitlin Clark, the incredible rookie who fundamentally altered the game, before responding to those queries. Caitlin Clark wasn't a typical rookie when she first set foot on a WNBA court. She came with high expectations from a memorable time in college. She did more than just play basketball throughout those years. She changed how viewers perceived it. Her amazing long-range three-pointers, unwavering self-assurance, and stunning performances elevated routine games into national events that fans had to see. Arenas sold out, television viewership skyrocketed, and innumerable people who had never paid much attention to basketball suddenly developed a strong passion for the sport. Admirers. Her impact went well beyond numbers and points. It developed into a cultural phenomenon. Every game felt larger, every moment more thrilling, and every audience more electrified thanks to Caitlin's unique talent. That enthusiasm persisted when she eventually joined the WNBA. It just kept getting bigger. Tickets for Caitlin Clark's performances shot through the roof. She was constantly the subject of media attention, and the hype around her never seemed to abate. It was impossible to deny the sincere, unwavering focus. However, Caitlin still hadn't landed the kind of historic endorsement deal many felt she deserved, despite all the fame and rising expectations. Prominent brands were displaying interest. Music, discussions were taking place, but nothing had formally come together until unanticipated assistance made all the difference. Sophie Cunningham provided that assistance. Sophie, a well-known WNBA veteran, was far more impressed by Caitlin's extraordinary basketball abilities. She was aware of her special capacity to change the course of women's basketball. Behind closed doors, Sophie steadfastly and quietly supported Caitlin. She saw that Caitlin was more than just a gifted young athlete. She was the kind of once-in-a-generation athlete who could usher in a completely new era for the sport. Then the time arrived when altered everything. The entire sports world took notice of Nike's incredible $25 million sponsorship deal right away. This wasn't just another announcement about sponsorship. It was a strong statement. It conveyed a very obvious message. Women's basketball was more than just fun to watch. It had developed into a sport deserving of significant funding and sustained dedication. A distinctive signature shoe line made particularly for Caitlin is reportedly part of the deal. National advertising efforts centered on her inspirational story and neighborhood initiatives aimed at assisting young females in discovering and developing through basketball. This achievement signified much more than the accomplishments of a single player. Every young woman who had ever imagined putting on basketball shoes and performing in front of the brightest lights saw it as a victory. Despite several NBA players received contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars, WNBA players competed with extraordinary dedication for many years despite receiving significantly less financial acknowledgement. The sports, music, community was frustrated by such discrepancy. That narrative is now starting to shift. Caitlin's historic endorsement validated long-held beliefs held by basketball insiders, fans, and pundits. Women athletes should be at the forefront of the sport since they can draw sizable crowds, improve ticket sales, and raise television ratings. Largest advertising efforts. This example demonstrated that significant change doesn't necessarily start with businesses or sports leagues, which may be even more significant. Occasionally, it begins with the players. Sophie Cunningham and other veterans have the power to change the future of women's basketball, inspire future generations, and generate possibilities. There is much more to this story than just money or celebrity. It marks a turning point in the development of women's sports. Caitlin Clark has emerged as a prominent figure in that movement. It seems only fitting that Sophie and Caitlin become such close friends given their many common experiences and ideals. Let's now see how that friendship turned into the motivating power for constructive change. The $25 million sum associated with the deal wasn't the only thing that made this event unique. Even though that sum may change anyone's life, people from throughout the world were genuinely moved by the opportunity's goodwill. Sophie Cunningham never had to make that decision. During those crucial Nike talks, she could have devoted every second to advancing her own career, negotiating better contracts, or battling for increased pay. Nobody would have questioned that choice. She had, after all, spent years establishing herself in a league where female players were always fighting for respect, acknowledgement, and equitable financial prospects. Sophie, however, saw beyond her own achievements. Rather, instead of focusing solely on her own accomplishments, she envisioned something far more ambitious. She made the decision to use her connections, reputation, and experience to elevate someone else. Caitlin Clark was more than just another talented basketball player to Sophie. She thought Caitlin was a symbol of women's basketball's future, a unique talent with the potential to inspire millions and change the sport for years to come. Sophie wasn't only helping a close friend when she assisted Caitlin in getting this landmark endorsement deal. She was making an investment in the WNBA's overall future. One profound fact was clear to her. When one woman overcomes obstacles, she opens doors for innumerable others to follow. It resembles a cascade effect. One brave choice inspires others to think that significant change is achievable. As more businesses invest in women's basketball, more athletes will have the chance to make money that can change their lives and provide them and their families with long-term financial stability. More significantly, those successes will encourage millions of young girls who are watching from the sidelines to think that they too can fulfill their aspirations. Several big brands are reportedly considering new endorsement deals for WNBA players, according to people in the sports marketing sector. By taking the initiative, they expect to attain the same level of success and favorable reputation that Nike gained. Businesses that support a significant movement early on tend to increase client loyalty in today's cutthroat industry. And enduring cultural impact. And no brand wants to pass up that chance. Younger players are watching intently at the same time. They are recognizing that they can access opportunities that earlier generations could only dream of by building their personal brands, being genuine with fans, and demonstrating who they are outside of basketball. Aspirations that were previously unattainable. Signature product lines, major endorsement deals, national media appearances, and long-term collaborations are all getting easier every day. This is far more than just another corporate announcement. It provides a window into a time when female athletes won't have to accept anything less than what they deserve. It demonstrates how seasoned leaders collaborating with gifted new talent may improve the sport as a whole. After that, gamers won't have to decide between making a steady living and pursuing their passion. At last, they will have access to resources, opportunities, and recognition commensurate with their exceptional potential. What do you think, then? Should more athletes support their colleagues and advance the sport by using their platforms and influence? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Please remember to like, subscribe, and check back for more motivational basketball tales if you liked this video.